Eli stumbled forward, shoes forgotten miles ago, bare feet slapping against cold forest ground. The night was thicker than ink, and the trees pressed in like a crowd of silent witnesses. His breathing came in short bursts. But the whispers behind him didn't stop. Eli. Eli, you left her, you let her cry. His heart pounded in his chest. He grabbed the nearest tree to steady himself and almost screamed. Its bark was carved lines etched like veins, and he could swear it pulsed under his palm. He jerked his hand back. How long had he been running? It started that morning. Just a hike. Just him. Just silence. Eli wasn't trying to be brave. He was trying to forget. His girlfriend, Maddie, had left 3 weeks ago. Left him with just a note on the kitchen table. I can't do this anymore. You're broken, and I cannot keep trying to fix you. So he came here, into the woods his father used to talk about. The woods people in the nearby town called haunted, but Eli didn't care. The pain in his chest was louder than any ghost story. He took the wrong trail. He knew that now. But it didn't look wrong when he first stepped off the main path. It looked old, untouched, and natural, like it had waited for him. The whispering started after he found the tree. It was thick and wide, standing alone in a small clearing. Carvings ran up its trunk like a spine. Not letters, symbols, circles, slashes, eyes. When he touched it, he heard a whisper. Not outside, inside his head. Why didn't you go after her? He'd stepped back, confused. But then came another whisper. You let her break. And another. She begged you to stop yelling. Eli hadn't told anyone that. Not even his therapist. He'd yelled once, loud enough to make Maddie cry. He promised it wouldn't happen again. But it did. Now the tree was whispering it back to him. That night, he didn't sleep. He sat near the clearing, staring at the tree as if it might move. At 3:17 a.m., it whispered again. Dig. He didn't. Not at first. But by morning, the whispers were louder. Clearer. So he dug. The ground was soft near the base of the tree, like someone had disturbed it recently. Eli used a rock to scrape away at the soil. His fingers were numb and bloody when he hit something solid, metal, a small box. He pulled it out and stared at it. It wasn't rusted. It looked placed recently, like someone meant for him to find it. Hands shaking. He opened it. Inside was a necklace, Maddie's necklace. The tiny silver key charm, bent slightly on one side. He remembered buying it for her 2nd anniversary. She wore it every day. She was wearing it when she left. So why was it buried here? Eli stared down at the necklace, his brain refusing to catch up. Did she come here? Did she die here? Or was someone playing with him? He turned the box over. Something was scratched into the bottom. You failed her. The trees groaned above him. He looked up, and for a moment, he saw a shape. Not animal, not human, just wrong. He ran. That's how he ended up here, heart pounding, barefoot, lost and hunted by voices from a tree. Morning didn't come. Not really. The sun peeked out just long enough to make the fog glow. Eli wandered until he found the clearing again. Of course he did. It was like the forest wanted him back. This time, he noticed something new. A second box, sitting on the roots. Not buried. Waiting. He approached slowly, heart in his throat. His body screamed to run, but his legs didn't listen. He opened the box. Inside was a phone. Not his, not Maddie's, just a black phone, no brand, screen cracked. It was on, and playing a video. He tapped it. It showed him Eli, yelling, screaming, crying, and Maddie. She was backed against the kitchen wall, arms crossed, tears falling. Please, Eli, she whispered in the video. Just stop. He turned the phone off. His stomach turned. He had no memory of anyone recording that. No one else was there. He sat on the ground and buried his face in his hands. The tree was digging into him, whispering louder now. "You're not sorry. You let her leave. You hoped she'd crash. You hated her for being free." He screamed and threw the phone. It shattered. But the whisper didn't stop. He turned and picked up the necklace. His fingers trembled as he clutched it. He didn't know what to do. Suddenly, the air around him changed. Warmer. He turned and saw Maddie. She stood at the edge of the clearing, same clothes as the last night she was home. Same necklace, except it was around her neck, but he was holding it. Eli stepped back. "Maddie?" She didn't answer. Her eyes were hollow. Then she lifted her hand, pointed to the tree, and vanished. He stood there for hours, maybe more. Time didn't exist in this place. Eventually, he approached the tree again. One of the carvings caught his eye now, a long vertical eye, wide and deep. He touched it. His head exploded with noise, screams, cries, echoes. And one whisper, louder than the rest, "Dig deeper." So he did. This time he didn't stop until his arms gave out, until his fingers were numb. And then he saw it. Human hand. Bone. White. Fingers curled around something. He pulled it up. It was her phone. Maddie's. Cracked. It lit up when he touched it. One video. He pressed play. The video was dark. The sound of leaves, breathing, crying. Then her voice. "I'm sorry I came here. I thought it would help. I thought it would heal me. But something's wrong. Something's in the trees. I can't leave. It won't let me." A scream. End of video. Eli dropped the phone and backed away, and the tree whispered one last time, "Now you know. So what will you do?" He didn't answer. He picked up the phone, the necklace, and the second box. And he started walking. The path was clear now, almost. Welcome. But the whisper followed, and he knew he would never leave these woods the same. As he reached the edge of the clearing, a sign hung on a tree trunk. Old, splintered, barely readable. It read, "Eli plus Maddie, summer forever." He didn't remember carving that, but it was his handwriting, and underneath it, fresh in the bark, "Only one gets to leave." The scream didn't come from outside the tent. It came from inside her sleeping bag. Tara jolted upright, breath slamming against her ribs. The forest outside was silent, still, like it had heard what she did and now waited. Her flashlight was already in her shaking hand, the beam trembling across the tent walls. "Jess?" she whispered. Her tentmate didn't answer. Tara reached over, unzipping Jess's sleeping bag, empty, but she was sure she had heard her scream from inside it. Her hands clutched the small knife she had hidden in her boot. It was just supposed to be a backup, something they told women to carry when camping. Not something she ever imagined actually needing. She crawled out of the tent. The moon hung low above the trees, casting long shadows that twisted like limbs. The clearing was empty. "Jess?" she called out again, softer this time. "This isn't funny." The wind moved, but nothing else did. The survival retreat had sounded like a good idea 2 weeks ago. Tara had signed up for it on impulse. A women-only wilderness challenge in the Appalachian woods. A full week of hiking, building fires, sleeping under the stars, far away from noise, stress, and the last person who called her worthless. She needed a break. She needed to prove to herself she could be strong. Now she wasn't so sure. Jess had been the only one who made her laugh since arriving. They clicked fast. I talked about exes, life, bruises that didn't show. That night the group had made their own campfires. No staff, no guides. Just a map, team assignment, and a promise. Stick together, and you'll be safe. Safe. Tara scanned the trees. "Jess, if this is a prank, I swear." Crunch. She spun around. A figure moved between the trees. Small, hunched, barefoot. She stepped toward it. "Jess?" The figure didn't answer. It turned and bolted into the forest. Tara chased without thinking. Branches scratched her arms. Roots clawed at her feet. She followed the flashes of pale movement, the flickers of a shadow too small to be her friend, but too familiar to ignore. Then the figure vanished. Gone. Just like that. Tara stopped panting. Her flashlight flickered, then died. Silence fell again, but not the calm kind. The kind that presses in around your ears, suffocating. A silence that holds its breath. And then she heard her own voice, coming from behind her. Jess? Jess, please answer. She turned. No one, but the voice came again. Her voice. From somewhere deeper, a whimper crawled up her throat. She backed away, heart pounding against her ribs like it was trying to escape her chest. And then she saw it. Red scarf tied to a low branch. Jess's scarf. She had worn it at dinner. Tara grabbed it and held it close. That's when she noticed the phone, lying in the dirt beneath the branch. It wasn't hers. It wasn't Jess's either. She picked it up. The screen lit up without touch. Video playing. She didn't press anything. The video showed her, Tara, sitting at the fire earlier that evening, laughing with Jess. And then something behind her, a face, watching from the dark, something long, white-eyed, curled around a tree just outside the fire's glow. She paused the video, zoomed in, but the moment she tried to screenshot it, the phone turned off. Dead, or gone. She dropped it. When Tara returned to camp, everyone was gone. The tents were still there. Fires burned low, but not a single voice. Not a single person. She checked each tent. Empty. No footprints. No bags. Her stomach twisted. Her throat is dry. Then she noticed it. Her own tent was zipped shut again, and it was moving. Slow, steady, shifting from inside like someone was breathing under the nylon fabric. She approached slowly. Her hand shook as she reached for the zipper. She opened it in one swift move, knife. Ready. Empty. But the sleeping bag was now zipped shut again. She stared. There was no way. She had left it open. She crouched down, her other hand unzipping the bag from the bottom. A smell hit her first. Wet earth, rust. And then she saw hair. Black, soaked hair, then a hand. Fingers twitching, she screamed and fell backward. The sleeping bag shook, then went still. She scrambled away. Suddenly, all the tent flaps flung open at once, every single one. But they were empty, except one. The farthest tent. A light was on inside it. She hadn't seen it before. It wasn't part of their camp, and it was glowing with flickering yellow, like candlelight, drawn by fear and something deeper, some sick need to know. She walked toward it. Inside the tent, Jess sat cross-legged. Staring straight ahead, her eyes open, but blank. Jess! Tara rushed in. Jess didn't blink, didn't breathe. Then slowly her mouth opened, and Tara's voice came out. Don't scream this time. Tara backed away, tears rising. Jess's mouth smiled, but the eyes didn't. Behind her, the tent flap zipped shut. By itself, and everything went dark. She woke up in daylight, lying on the forest floor, alone. No tents, no fire, no scarf. No phone. No Jess as she stood, shaking. Everything was gone, like it never happened. A trail stretched ahead, clean and marked, as if inviting her to leave. She took a step, then another. Her foot hit something buried in the leaves. She looked down. Her knife, but it was rusted. Old. She picked it up and noticed something carved into the blade. You were never supposed to survive this. Tara returned to the ranger station that afternoon, mud-covered, shaking. When they pulled up her group's name, the man behind the desk frowned. There's no survival group booked this week, he said. Tara showed him the map they gave her. The bracelet, her name badge. The ranger took them, confused. Wait here. He stepped into the back room. 10 minutes later, another ranger came out, older, pale. He stared at Tara for a long moment. You were with the 1998 group? He asked. What? He pointed at the bracelet. That badge style hasn't been used in 20 years. Tara looked down and saw that the bracelet wasn't on her wrist anymore. Marcus hadn't seen another soul in 2 days. The trail is gone now. Even the birds had stopped singing. And yet, the smoke curling through the trees ahead smelled like Hopewood fire, stew, maybe even safety. He staggered forward. His lips were cracked, his water bottle long empty. Whatever this was, ranger camp, hiker, hallucination, it didn't matter. He needed it. As he stepped into the clearing, the man by the fire didn't move, just sat there, cross-legged, staring into the flames. His skin was pale, stretched, almost gray. His eyes shimmered yellow in the firelight. He wore no shoes. Marcus cleared his throat. "Hey, sorry to barge in. I've been lost for a while." The man looked up slowly, then nodded once. Still silent. "I'm Marcus," he added. No reply. The man pointed to a flat rock near the fire. Marcus hesitated, but sat. It was warm. Too warm, like someone had just left it. A bowl of stew appeared in front of him. He hadn't seen the man move. Steam rose from it. Marcus reached for it. The man finally spoke. Voice dry, soft. "Eat carefully. The forest listens." Marcus forced a chuckle. "Right, forest diet advice." "Got it." He dipped the spoon in, took a bite. It was good. Too good. Rich, meaty, seasoned. The warmth hit his chest first, then spread to his limbs. He hadn't realized how cold he'd been. "So, you live out here?" Marcus asked between bites. The man didn't answer, just stared at him. Then he said, "You came alone?" "Yeah, dumb, right? It was supposed to be 2 nights. Thought I'd clear my head. GPS died. The phone fell in a stream. My bad luck." The man nodded once. "That's how it starts." "How do you start?" No reply. Marcus blinked. The fire blurred for a second. The trees swayed too slowly. Then he saw something inside the flames. A face, screaming, melting. He dropped the spoon. What the hell? The man was gone. So was the fire. So was the bowl. He sat alone in a cold clearing. No footprints. No smoke. Just silence. Panic rose in his throat. He spun in circles. No sign of where he'd come from. No exit, just trees. He checked his watch. It blinked at 12 o'clock. He didn't remember resetting it. His fingers touched his chest. His clothes were different. Rough. Fabric. Old. Smelled like dirt. He looked down and froze. He wasn't wearing his jacket or his jeans. These were someone else's clothes. He spun around, desperate, shouting, "Hello, what is this? Where the hell am I?" No answer, just the wind. Then a sound behind him. Digging. He turned slowly. A shovel sticking out of the ground near a freshly turned pile of soil. Next to it, a sign, Marcus -1995. He dropped to his knees and started digging with his hands, fast, wild. The dirt gave way quickly. Too quickly, like it had been dug and recovered many times. Then he saw it. A hand, gray, twisted and wearing his own watch. Scrambled back, bile rising in his throat. He turned and ran. Branches cut his arms. Vines tried to grab his feet. The forest blurred past him. He didn't stop until he saw a light ahead. He broke through the trees into a clearing. Campfire. Again. Same fire. Same rock. Same man. Sitting there, as if nothing had changed. Marcus stepped back. No. I already did this. The man held up something. A cos. Bowl of stew. Marcus screamed and threw a rock. The bowl fell. The man vanished. So did the fire. He woke up beside the same grave, sweating, shaking. He stood and checked. The name again. Marcus -1995. But something had changed. A second sign had been planted beside it. Marcus, 2025, 2 graves, both with his name. He wandered the forest for hours. Maybe days. The sun never moved. The wind never changed. Every time he tried to leave, the fire returned. So did the man. Each time, the bowl was closer. Each time the grave is deeper. On the 7th night, he gave up, sat by the fire. The man handed him the bowl. Marcus didn't eat. He just whispered, "What is this place?" The man finally answered, "This is where the lost feed the forest." Marcus stared into the stew. A face looked back at him. His own. Rotting. He stood up and ran again. But this time, he tripped. Hit the ground hard. When he opened his eyes, he was in a hospital bed. Beeping monitors. White lights. A nurse blinked down at him. He's awake. A man in a suit entered. "I'm Agent Clark," he said. "You were found 3 days ago near Devil's Jaw Trail, unconscious, no ID, wearing someone else's clothes." Marcus whispered, "What about the campfire?" The agent frowned. "What campfire?" "There was a man. He gave me stew. There was a grave. With my name," Clark sighed. "You were alone. Starved. Hypothermic. You barely survived." Marcus blinked. "But the stew." The agent handed him a bag. Inside was a single object, his watch. Still ticking. Except the time was wrong. Set to 12 o'clock. That night, Marcus lay in the hospital bed, unable to sleep. Then the fire alarm went off. Doctors ran. The nurses screamed. Smoke filled the halls. Marcus sat up. And saw him, the barefoot man. Standing at the end of the hallway, holding the bowl of stew and smiling. The keys felt too cold in her hand. Ava stared up at the old cabin, alone in the clearing, surrounded by thick pine and the hush of a forest that didn't breathe right. The wood was dark, splintered, warped by time. The roof sagged in the middle like a dying animal's spine. There were no windows. None. She circled it twice, just to be sure. No light could get in. No light could get out. It was her inheritance. A gift, they said, from a father who died choking in a hospital bed. A man who used to lock her in closets. A man who hadn't called her by name since she was 12. He left her this. A cabin with no windows. And a note. "Let it all burn. Then maybe you'll sleep." Ava's stomach churned. She almost turned back. But her car was dead, the road long gone behind her. She hadn't seen a signpost for 30 miles. The forest seemed to close in behind her the moment she stepped out, like it didn't want her to leave. She opened the door. The hinges groaned like they hadn't been moved in years. Inside, dust danced in the single beam of light from the doorway. The floor creaked. Boards soft and damp. No lights. No lamps. Only mirrors. One on every wall. Every angle. Ava froze. Each mirror was old, cracked, cloudy, warped. But they all reflected the same thing. Her. But not just her. Her younger self. 8 years old, sitting at a bed in the corner, arms crossed, knees to chest. Tears on her face. Ava blinked, looked behind her. The bed was empty. She turned back to the mirror. The little girl was still there, mouth moving. No sound. Ava backed away, bumped into another mirror. This one showed her 16. Bruised. Eyes hollow. Same cabin. Same bed. Same silence. The door slammed shut behind her. Light vanished. The cabin was now pitch black. Except for the mirrors. They glowed. Not with light, but with memory. Ava lit the candle from her pack. Its flame flickered wildly, refusing to hold steady. She sat in the middle of the room, surrounded by versions of herself. Each mirror played a different scene. Hiding under the kitchen table is glass. Shattered. Covering her ears while her father screamed at someone on the phone, tearing up a drawing she had made for him. When he forgot her birthday, she tried to turn the mirrors away. They didn't move. She threw her boot at one. It didn't break. She tried to run for the door. It wouldn't open. The whispers began that night. Not from outside. From within the mirrors, one by one. You said nothing. You forgave too easily. You still miss him. You still blame yourself. You let Mom take the fall, Ava screamed. I was a child. I didn't know. But the mirrors didn't care. The reflections didn't blink. They stared, watching her fall apart again. On the third day, she found a note on the table. She hadn't seen it before. Just 4 words: break the last mirror. She spun. All the mirrors looked the same. Until she saw one tall, in the far corner, covered by a black sheet. She ripped the cloth off and gasped. This mirror showed her, now sitting in the cabin. But behind her, her father. Alive. Standing. Smiling. She turned fast. No one behind her. She looked back at the mirror. He was closer. She blinked. He reached for her. She smashed the glass with her candle holder. The mirror exploded. A wave of heat rushed out, knocking her back. The cabin groaned. The mirrors all shattered at once. Light poured in from nowhere. The door creaked open. The forest outside looked different, brighter. Ava stood, heart pounding. Her knees are weak, but something inside her had shifted, like a string pulled tight for years had finally snapped loose. She walked outside and saw something she hadn't noticed before. Second cabin, hidden behind trees. Newer. Clean. She walked to it slowly. Inside, everything was different. Photos. Memories. Letters from her mother, explaining everything. Her father's illness, his guilt, how he had left everything to her, not out of hate, but hope. A chance to face the truth, to survive it. Ava sat in the sun for the first time in days. She burned the cabin with no windows that night, watched the smoke rise like ghosts set free, and whispered, "I forgive you." Not for him, for her, because she had to. Because sometimes to heal, you have to destroy the room you were broken in. Only then can you build something new. The rule was simple. Do not speak. Do not use your phone. And whatever happens, do not look behind you. They told him that when he arrived at the Fear Therapy Trail, a twisted, underground healing hike hidden in the forests of British Columbia. They claimed it cured fear through immersion. Daniel didn't believe in therapy, but he believed in fear. He had lived with it ever since his sister vanished 10 years ago on a family camping trip. No footprints, no signs, nobody. Just a single torn drawing pinned to a tree. A picture she had made that morning. A tree, a face in the branches, and one sentence scribbled underneath: "Don't look behind you." The same sentence the trail hosts repeated now as they clipped a tracker to his jacket and zipped up his pack. He was to walk the trail alone. No guides. No companions. Just one long, narrow path that looped through the forest and back to the lodge. If he made it. The first hour was quiet. Birdsong, a breeze, the crunch of his boots. Daniel's nerves softened. Maybe it was all just a gimmick, a spooky branding trick for tourists. But then, the sound stopped. No birds. No wind. Only the sound of his own breathing and footsteps behind him. Soft, slow, measured. He froze. They stopped too. He turned his head, slightly. Remembering the rule, don't look, he took another step forward. The steps behind him matched his pace. Exactly. His heart kicked harder. He moved faster. So did the steps. He broke into a jog. The sound behind him followed. Not just footsteps now, breathing. Shaky, guttural. Like someone or something was right at his back. He wanted to turn. To scream, but he didn't. Single quotes. 2. Hours passed. He found markings on the trees, symbols carved into bark. Circles. Eyes. He knew them. He had seen them before, on the drawing his sister left behind. The trail turned darker. No sunlight. The trees arched overhead, twisted into shapes that didn't feel natural. Branches reached out like fingers. Daniel stepped over a fallen log. And heard a whisper. "Daniel." His stomach dropped. That voice. It was her, his sister. He hadn't heard it in a decade. He turned. Almost. But he caught himself and kept walking. Faster now. Tears burned his eyes. "Please," the voice begged again. "Closer. Turn around." He stumbled forward, gritted his teeth. The path dipped into a hollow. Fog clung to the trees. His tracker beeped once, then went silent. His phone buzzed in his pocket. He wasn't supposed to use it, but he pulled it out. One message. From unknown subject. You left her. His fingers trembled. The screen lit up again. Video attached. He tapped it. It showed a forest. This trail. Older. Blurry. And then his sister. Running. Looking. Back. Screaming. The last frame froze on her face. Mouth open. Eyes full of terror. Then the screen went black and reflected his own face. But something stood behind him. Tall. Thin. Smiling. He dropped the phone. Didn't pick it up. He kept walking. But the ground changed. Softer. Then wet. Then cold. The trees thinned. And he saw it. A tree. In the center of a clearing. With something carved into the bark. He walked toward it. Slow. Hands shaking. It was the same tree from the drawing. Same symbols. And below them, words carved deep. Daniel plus Lily. Forever. He ran his fingers over the letters. Fresh. Then he saw something at the base of the tree. Half buried. A box. He dug it out. Inside was her necklace. A small silver moon. And a note. Written in his sister's handwriting. You were supposed to come with me. Behind him, the footsteps stopped. Breathing grew louder. He felt a cold breath on his neck. He shut his eyes. Tears streamed down. I'm sorry, he whispered. I didn't know. I was just a kid. Silence. Then, laughter. Low. Crook. Wrong. He dropped the box, turned around finally, and saw her. But not her. A shell. Her body rotted, twisted, eyes black and wide. She smiled. Too late. She whispered. Then the forest swallowed her. The light returned. The fog lifted. The path appeared again. He followed it. Without thinking, he emerged from the woods an hour later. Pale. Silent. The staff at the lodge clapped. You made it, they said. Not everyone does. They took the tracker off, handed him a certificate. But Daniel didn't speak, didn't smile, didn't even blink. He got in his car, started the engine. I looked into the rearview mirror. And froze. In the back seat, his sister, smiling. Daniel drove for hours, never once looked back. But the whisper followed. Everywhere. Every mirror. Every shadow. Every step. You left me. The trail had given him what it promised. Fear. But not to heal it. To keep it alive. Forever. The end.